And we are live. Welcome for this stream on Bitcoin runes. We will discuss what is Bitcoin runes and how you can make money as a blockchain developer. If you are new here, I'm Julian, and on Eat the Blocks, I help you to become a professional blockchain developer. And so quickly, if you're new here, check out my free training where I will teach you everything step by step to become a professional blockchain developer. I will tell you exactly what to learn and how to get your first job in the space. It's completely free, and I'm going to post the link in the chat. So check it out. It's really, really useful. All right, so how you guys doing today? Let me know where you're from in the chat. We have Coco Digital here from India, I believe, if I get the flag right. Okay, so are you guys excited by Bitcoin runes? That's a completely new thing, and as blockchain dev, we're really well positioned to take advantage of it. So what is it? So it's a protocol for fungible tokens on Bitcoin. So basically, it allows the creation of ERC20 tokens on Bitcoins, including meme coins. So you'll be able to create, mint, and transfer those tokens on Bitcoins. And with the recent surge of meme coins, we will probably see a big wave of meme coin on Bitcoin. So I cannot guarantee that this is going to be sustainable, but probably we're going to have a few months where it's going to be one of the narratives, or more specifically, one of the sub-narrative of meme coin. You have meme coin on Solana, on Base, and on Bitcoin. So it was created by this guy here, Kaze Rodamore. So he's a developer, and he's also the creator of Ordinals, which was also another very successful project on Bitcoin. So he is one of the reasons why people are so excited about this new project. So just here a caveat: this Bitcoin runes has nothing to see with runes that are on Thorchain, because on Thorchain they also have a currency called runes. Nothing to see with this. So it's not his first project. Before he did Ordinals, and so basically Ordinals, he was for non-fungible token on Bitcoin, basically ERC721 on Bitcoin. But this time for Rune, we're talking of ERC20, so that's different. But this project Ordinal was very, very successful. So that's why people think that if he was able to be so successful with this one, he could probably do it again with Rune. So now another project that comes to mind is BRC20. So BRC20 is a project on Bitcoin to create fungible token on Bitcoin. So why do we need yet another project that does exactly the same thing? So first of all, BRC20 wasn't created by Kazi. It was created by another dev called Domo, who is anonymous. And there were a couple of issues with this project. So first of all, it created a lot of congestion on the Bitcoin network, because it basically, to do one operation, you need many more transactions for BRC20, whereas for Rune, to do an operation, you just need one transaction. So much more, that was much better. And so we needed a better way to do ERC20 on Bitcoin. And another thing that Runes does better is that it has a larger namespace. So you have 28 characters on Runes, whereas for BRC20 you only have 4, so you're pretty limited. And also in terms of security, Runes is safer with BRC20 because they allow emoji in their name. It opens up some attack vector, and so Rune also fixed this. All right, so what about us? What about us developer? Like, what's the opportunity for us? Couple of them. So, you can first of all you can create your own runes, and basically you take advantage of the new narrative. So you don't need to wait that other people create their runes. You can do it too, because as a technical user, you're much better positioned to understand how you can do it. And so that's the first thing. The second opportunity, I would say, is to create some tool in order to allow user to access the Rune ecosystem. And I think this is where you have the most value. Basically, sell the shovels. So what kind of tool could you create for Rune? So what kind of tool you could make is basically an explorer, something that allow you to see the existing runes that exist. So think basically Etherscan, but for Bitcoin runes. Another thing you could do is a tool to create new runes, so that people just have to click and they can create some new runes. It's a decentralized protocol, so anybody can create such a tool. You just need to be connected to the Bitcoin network. The tooling isn't as good as for other projects. Of course, this is a new project, so you're gonna have to do more work. That's the disadvantage. And you could also do a marketplace for runes. So because once people buy runes, they also want to sell it. So a marketplace that allow people to buy and sell runes. But it's whenever you do a marketplace, it's always a little bit more risky legally, because you could, in some cases, you could be in trouble legally depending on what you do. But I'm not a lawyer. I cannot really give you advice on this. And you can also basically, if you create your own rune, so which is basically the most simple thing that you can do, you could shield your project to existing rune collector. So like this guy, for example, this guy on Twitter is a famous rune collector. So you research the big rune guy, and basically you shield your project to them, and this is how you would promote your project. All right. So that's it for the opportunities for blockchain dev. So now the big question is how Rune works. So I did a few schema here. So basically, you start from an unspent output. So on the blockchain, on the Bitcoin blockchain, it works differently than on Ethereum. Basically, you have all those unspent output that represent the money that is available to you, and so you take one of your unspent output and you're going to create a new transaction from it. But in this transaction, you're not going to move any Bitcoin. Okay, so you actually the Bitcoin stay in the previous unspent output, and you in this new message, in this new transaction, you're gonna use the return opcode. So this opcode basically allow you to put some data after it, and this data is not processed by the Bitcoin protocol. It's just stored on the blockchain, but it's just to be stored on the blockchain, but it's not really interpreted in any way by the Bitcoin network. It's like some free space that you can use. And so basically, the Rune protocol make use of this free space after up return. So, for example, you will have a message, create new rune and the name of the rune. And of course, it's not exactly like this. It was just to simplify. But so this message that we see here, this is what we call a rune stone. And so that is defined in the Rune protocol. And so technically, this is a number that has a certain format. And so outside software can read this inscription in the Bitcoin blockchain and understand that this is a creation instruction. And so you have two options once you've created a rune. Either you can make a pre-mine, which means like you give yourself some rune, or you can have zero pre-mine at all, and so that's basically like a fair launch because everybody can mine, and you're not in a privileged situation, except that of course you know exactly when you mint, so you can be one of the first one who mint after, but that's it. So here, let's say that we have this transaction UATX0 where we create a new Rune ABC. And after, once we created this new Rune ABC, so technically we call this etching. We need to mint. So minting and etching is two different things. Etching, it just means that this is created, but there are no unit created yet. And so you are going to create a new transaction with different UTX0. As before, there are 0 Bitcoin transferred. And the first instruction after op return will be mint. And after, the second UTX0 is going to give you the address, and the third one will be the amount. So because you don't have enough space after this op return, it's pretty limited. So you need to use several UTX0 in order to give all the instruction. And so the client of Rune, which is an outside software, is going to read all of this. It's going to interpret all these data based on the Rune protocol. So that's how you would mint some Rune, and how would you transfer? So let's say there is a UTX0 where you have 100 ABC Rune. And so what you can do is to transfer it. So you're going to create several UTX0, and for each of them, of course, you're going to use the OP return opcode. And the first one will be for the instruction transfer. Once again, coded with the Rune protocol. This is what we call a Rune stone, an instruction. Then the second one, the address, and the third one, the amount. And so that's in a very, very simplified way how it works. So if you want to know more about technically how it works, you can check out the documentation of Rune. So this is on this website. Unfortunately, the specification isn't really complete. They actually mention it in the documentation. They say that their implementation of Rune is basically the specification, meaning that you have to read the code if you really want to understand everything. But still, you'll find some information there. So here, this is the code of Rune. So technically, the code of Rune is part of the code of Ordinal. So in the Ordinal client, they basically added a new file for runes. And yeah, so that's unfortunately not the easiest to understand, and so that's coded in Rust. That is pretty hard language. Definitely more difficult than JavaScript. But fortunately for us, there is someone that created a Rune client in TypeScript, so basically JavaScript. So I recommend this one to read this one because that's slightly easier than the one in Rust to understand. So that's basically how the Rune protocol works, but it's basically a simple protocol, really. There isn't much that we can do. We can create new Rune, we can mint them, and we can transfer them. So there are just 3 operations basically. And so this protocol went live on block 840,000 on Bitcoin, which was a few days ago. That was exactly the block of the halving. And so since then, there were a couple of runes that were created. I'm going to show you this. But basically, technically, another thing important to mention is that there is some front-running protection with runes thanks to a commit reveal scheme. So that's very important. Like if you want to mint a new name, let's say you find a cool name that you want to mint, nobody is going to front run you. There is a protection about this for this. The names of the rune, so they can be up to 28 character long, but the creator of runes did something really smart here. It didn't make all of the names available right away, because the problem is that in this case, a lot of people would have tried to just mint all the names and squat on them and to basically resell them like people do with domain names, for example. So the names are released progressively. So so the shorter the name, the more you will have to wait until it's available. And so yeah, it just basically gives more longevity to the project. So that's why I think this project in a couple of months is still gonna be there. It's not gonna be just a sudden hype and then nothing. And another thing to mention technically is that this is compatible with the Bitcoin Lightning Network, so which will be great to make this Rune transaction cheaper. All right, so some vocabulary here. So etching a rune means creating a new rune, but at this point you haven't minted anything. And minting a rune means that you actually distribute the rune to some addresses. Then you have the rune stone, which are basically the protocol message encoded in the UTX-0. So yeah, those important word of vocabulary. So this is so next we are going to so here this is the Twitter of Rune. So if you want to learn more about Rune, you can follow them and the Twitter of the creator. And so next, let's see some example of actual Rune that already exist. So here, this is the main website for Rune. That's runebtc.xyz. And so let's explore the existing Rune. So here you can see the different Rune. So runes are identified by IDs, which consist of the block in which a rune was etched and the index of the etching transaction in that block. So let's see, for example, let's see a specific one here. So here that means that 840,000. So that was etched at the block 840,000, and it was a transaction number 149. So the first rune to be minted, to be etched, was the uncommon goods, and so that was done by the creator of the Rune project. And so if you want to mint some rune, what you need to do is first you need to use a Bitcoin wallet. So there are a couple that are compatible, but I recommend this one, Xverse. So you send some Bitcoin there because to mint some rune, you will need to pay a transaction fee. Okay, for your transaction to be mined. So here, this is the page of a rune, and so here if you click on mint, basically you're gonna have to confirm a transaction on your wallet, and then it's gonna be transferred to you. You also have an alternative, Ordiscan, which is the website for ordinals, but it also has an explorer for runes. And you can also mint them. Then another thing you might want to do with runes is buy and sell them. Maybe you don't want to mint them, or maybe you want to buy them from someone. And so there are already some exchanges that allow you to do that. So far it's only centralized exchanges like OKX, for example, allow you to buy and sell some runes. And you also have Unisat. So these are the two big ones for runes. And yeah, so that's basically what you can do with Bitcoin Rune. So as a blockchain dev, very, very exciting, and we're very, very early. So if you build some interesting tools, it's gonna work. So I'm gonna check the question, but here briefly, if you are new here and you want to learn how you can become a blockchain developer, check out my free training where I will explain you everything step by step, what you need to learn, and how to find your first blockchain job. So let me put this in the chat. eattheblocks.com/roadmap. Okay, so what do we have in the chat? We have Ademu, Nigeria, Burkina Faso, THX, Vlad. So if I understand right, Bitcoin network obtains an opportunity to write smart contract. Am I right? No. There is no change in the Bitcoin protocol at all. This is completely external. So originally in the Bitcoin protocol, there was they have a very primitive sort of programming language, if you want. And you cannot really do smart contract with it. But in this sort of programming language, there is a special instruction called up return. And you can use this instruction to, after this instruction, you can store some data on a blockchain, some arbitrary data. And of course, you have a limit because the blockchain cannot store too much data. But the Bitcoin protocol completely ignore what you store. You just say, hey, you can put whatever you want here, but I'm just not going to do anything with it. And so it's possible to leverage this to create your own protocol, but this protocol that you're going to create, like Rune, it's not enforced by the Bitcoin network. So we are talking of external software that will read the data of the Bitcoin software and that will interpret it in its own way. But that is really outside. It leverages the data is inside Bitcoin, but it's interpreted by software outside of the blockchain. So that's how it works. So there is no hard fork, nothing like this. All right. So is there any other question about Bitcoin runes? No? Okay. All right. So in this case, we are going to stop here. So thanks everybody for coming to this stream, and I will see you later on the channel. Bye.